Hi there, welcome to another Chess24 Banter Blitz. It's approaching 11:30 AM UK time. Actually, before we get into the session, let's have a look at this amazing voucher code, Kingscrusher. If you go to chess24.com/premium, you can get a whole 15% off. With this voucher code, you get access to tons of video content as well, and other perks of premium membership, as well as being able to challenge the likes of Magnus Carlsen, other top grandmasters, international masters, and even bunnies like me on Sunday. So well worth it. So this chess24.com/premium. Okay, let's go on to the challenges today. And I'll just mute over here. And let's take the first challenge today. So Goggin Paul. Hi there. Let me know how audio and visual is in the chat, please. Okay, so I'm going to start off with maybe e4 today. Okay, so I French the fence. Oh, it's allowing d5. I think this has got a name. Is it Franco Benoni or something? So it looks like a bit of Benoni here, but with the bishop on e7 rather than g6. And black's got this majority of pawns on the queen side. I would, think that the standard Benoni maneuver for the knight might still be of some relevance here. Knight d2 to c4. Yeah, if I exchange off the light square bishop, that is a bit of a pain actually. Exchanging that off, but okay. That is a concession, but I can I can pile some pressure on d6 here with, I hope, bishop f4. Okay, there's bishop f8, queen f3. I can imagine queen g3 runs into knight h5. So that's not a hot idea, but d6 is attacked at the moment anyway. If we imagine, okay, so d5 is also attacked. Can I just keep the tension on that for a moment? I might want to bounce back with a5 and knight c4, because I think I've noticed something there, that if I did have, if black had played queen c7, queen g3, knight h5, I think that was bishop d6 in that position. If knight g3, bishop c7, and bishop d6, queen d6. So I think d6, is that the son of sorrow pawn? It is potentially sorrowful, this pawn on d6, if I can get to attack it again. So knight c4 again without this rude knight b6 business. And then, okay, the queen's on d7. It makes a big difference now, the queen's on d7. But on the other hand, knight c4 looks pretty good. I've sort of prevented b5 here. Okay. So it looks like a kind of Benoni strategy. Do I need to... Okay, he's on c2 here. This is a bit of a pain as well. Don't tell me. I'm not going to go back for this. Am I? Am I just going to get the queens off? Maybe rook c1, just g5, bishop g3. Okay, the queens could come off. It's not brilliant, is it? It's not something major. Although the knight on c8 looks like it's a potential issue. So I really could be doubling my pawns here. But I still think that's interesting, that position. I could have played knight e3, I suppose. Right, if I play what, h3 here? So bishop going back, okay. So I think that is a target, but it's not, it's pretty solid here actually. So, okay, it's blocked c2 for a moment. This e-file, if I go for this e-file while that pawn's not hanging. Is f4 really going to be played? What about just getting the queens off here and just saying my minor pieces are slightly better? I think that's the claim. that my minor pieces are slightly better. In fact, I think if g5, rook e8, king f7, rook d8, king e7. Yes. Maybe on king f7, or maybe just rook e6 here. There's knight g7. Right, it's not convincing, is it, really? I'm going to see what he does on this. If he doesn't do anything, okay, knight b6, there's knight takes b6, and he's protecting the rook, so that's not brilliant, is it? Alright, rook e6 here for a moment. Okay, he's giving me a piece, that helps. that otherwise it was, yeah, I don't know. I needed a plan. That helps. Okay, so here it's more straightforward now. Surely. Just put this back. So I'm just going to play. Oh, knight takes d6. It looks tasty. To win e7. Okay, my back row's weak. I don't want to be back row mated. Let's just put the rook back just in case I have a mouse slip soon, which will be totally tragic. I'll sort out my back row. D2's covered. I mean, king f1 and bishop g1. Oh, there's knight d6 anyway. Again. Okay, that's... Okay, check. I think I'm munching here. Alright, thanks, Goggin. Yeah, interesting game there. Different to a normal Benoni. Okay. Right, it's a 3-minute game. C, X, and chess. Okay. What does that look like? Okay, that's an exciting tournament hall. There is that. Okay, is my opponent ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have to abort, really. Quite cute there, I think, of challenges. Dirks. This is a 3-minute game. Okay, I'm going to play knight d2. And if I played here and just did this, it looks pretty standard position. Space advantage. If black plays g5, one thing which I am interested in is sometimes d takes. I've seen the effect of that because g4 there's knight d4 after. I think I might try that here, although that looks a bit silly. It gives me the d4 square. I had a game against Peter Sorre once where I played like this, and I was really annoyed he had knight d4. But I actually managed to win with black against FM Peter Sorre. I think he had a good position, essentially. Although I seem to be, it's a pawn gambit here for sure, isn't it? It's a pawn gambit. Okay, he's let me have. Yeah, I just didn't like. By playing d takes, you get that d4 square just in time for g4. So even though it's like a pawn gambit, I think the thing is the black king's still in the center, Maybe he should have taken on c5. The black king's still in the center. The knight's pretty good on d4 here. So this little d takes c5 trick. Yeah, I'm just trying to use tricks being played against me, sometimes against my opponents. There is knight g6 there. I wonder if, well, maybe bishop takes and knight e6 on knight g6. If there's knight d7, that king in the center, it's very interesting if I can try and attack the king in the center or not. Imagine knight d7. Okay, e5 might actually be... this is interesting. Knight takes c6 gives me control anyway of e5. So e5 knight takes, and then bishop e5 would be winning a pawn. I wonder if, for the moment, this just defends then here. So it's sort of setting a little trap. I'll be able to play knight takes and bishop takes. So I'm sort of controlling e5 right now, I believe. If the king castles, I think I just have queen d3, and if f5, that weakens e6, then knight takes e6. Yeah, I think queen d3 would be strong on castling. Okay, so queen d3 here anyway. Maybe, in fact, that weakens d6. What about knight b5 here? Trying to pounce into maybe c7 or d6. But again, if black castles, it just runs into queen d3. I think the king is... That's the problem. I love playing the French defences myself in a caveman way, but you can weaken a lot of squares sometimes. Although h4 threatens to trap my bishop. There's no threat at the moment. I wonder... Okay, so if I played knight d4 or bishop d3, intriguing. Or just queen e2. It's once again to castle. Okay, so queen d3, there's e4. But does that really matter? I think it doesn't matter. I get the d4 square again. So e4, yes, but I get the d4 square. So in fact, okay, so here actually knight c7 wins an exchange, doesn't it? So I get this d4 square again, and it might be worth... Okay, kicking this guy is an annoying knight. Okay. And trying to undermine the center. Okay, thanks, Stokes. Yeah, interesting game. Yeah, I just remember this mechanism, if black plays g5, to try and sometimes capture away with d takes c5. Sometimes that's interesting. But I have played such caveman attacks with black myself, so I kind of know, I have some empathy for that kind of attack. I think I once made a Russian GM laugh in a rapid game when I was playing like g5 in the French defense. He did crush me after. This Russian GM that was entering the Golders Green quick plays quite a lot. His name escapes me at the moment. Alright, so if I played knight d5, would the bishop just go back? Because, you know, maybe winning the dark square bishop is interesting here. Alternatively, bishop takes f6. Yeah, maybe the bind with the outpost is interesting as well. It's not like completely clear cut. Here it's just a positional kind of gambit. And black also has clearly d4. This type of situation, I think there is some tactical idea, I seem to remember, with sometimes g5. This is interesting. Sometimes there's going to be like queen d2 and g5. Or maybe the h-file. So maybe queen e2 and the h-file. If the h-file is really opening up here, I want to support e4 for rook h1. So there's some interesting ideas emerging here. Maybe this on the third rank to switch to h3 sometimes. Okay, so queen e2 and okay, here not here because yeah, the queen can't enter right now, I would hope. But there's rook h1 now that I'm holding e4. Okay, I can still have a piece on d5. So I don't think that's the end of the fun with the d5 outpost. But also it seems as though maybe I should have considered knight takes f4. Maybe I've played that a bit casually. The idea of knight takes h4. But there is the idea of doubling rooks here with knight e1, potentially. To double rooks. So doubling rooks. I was actually going through a series of tactical puzzles with one of my students during the week, and one of the cutest expressions I think in chess, I don't know if in chat you want to think about this, is pin and win. And I realised actually a lot of the puzzles, they do have pin and win, and also a lot of the puzzles simply have batteries winning. And I thought, hang on, what is a battery, right, fundamentally? Because I wanted to create another expression a bit similar to pin and win, because pin and win is one of my favourite expressions. So I thought I'd try and reproduce the expression pin and win for something else useful. And I thought, initially I told my student, well, what about a battery and win? But it doesn't sound right, because a battery and win, battery is a reserved keyword in chess. It usually means two rooks, a bishop and a queen, a battery specific thing. I really meant to say about combining pieces to win. So I came up with this idea. How about combine and win? If you like the expression pin and win, I don't know if any of you like the expression pin and win, but I thought, hang on, doesn't combine and win have good probability for being a useful expression? I don't know if you want to tell me if you think that's useful. I found it interesting to think about, but there's too many things to think about in chess. You can't think about all these expressions during a game. You know, there's a lot of calculation in chess. You can't just think of all these expressions and hope to win with these like expressions. But I do find myself sometimes winning games by remembering pin and win, or a related expression by Nimzovich. The power of the pin piece is illusionary. So at least it's a flag. You know, when you have a pin in a position, you try and see, well, what are the illusionary squares? So sometimes these expressions, they seem to me at least to actually have some practical value. I don't know if they're really designed to have a practical value during a game. But I just thought, hold on a sec, combine and win is really what I meant. So, okay, thanks. I mean, so I won with a battery here. And isn't that an example of combine and win? I mean, let me know what you think. I don't think it's that radical idea, because I think the implication is that if you get your pieces working as a team, they're going to be giving themselves support quite often for squares that they wouldn't have had if they were playing as individuals. So the two rooks get access to a new square which it wouldn't have had as an individual. Yeah. So I just thought it was an interesting idea. I've made up this expression, and I've been using it myself. And I did actually win a bullet tournament during the week using this expression. I thought, combine and win. It sounds really good. And I think I did play in a more coordinated way. But I don't know, let me know what you think. Combine and win. If you have any good results with it, please do message me. I think if you're already using pin and win, you might like to use the idea of combine and win. So I don't know. So a battery is just an example, I would say, of combine and win, because if you like combine two rooks, you get common squares out of it. So I'm probably too generalistic in my thinking. I mean, chess is a hard work game, a lot of calculation, and it really depends on the specific position. I'm not saying there's a generalization which is great, but I think it just might be a useful thing. Maybe when calculating things on the chessboard, you'd notice a sort of signpost. Like, say you were traveling by car somewhere, you'd notice signposts like, restaurant here, petrol here. So maybe it's interesting to notice the signpost that if you're calculating variations, oh, there's a pin here, oh, there's a pass pawn here, oh, there's a combine effort here. And with those signposts, you might calculate a bit further sometimes, because sometimes when you even have a pawn on the 6th rank, it's worth calculating a bit further sometimes. You might be able to sacrifice a piece. So if you look out for these kind of signposts, I think they encourage you at least to explore further. So maybe, so bishop d7, I don't want to lose a piece here. That's very naughty, isn't it? Oh, very tactical move there. Attacking two pieces. I'm about to lose a piece while chatting about this. Anyway, maybe it's a signpost, but it's something to think about, I think. I mean, definitely, if you're normally calculating variations and you don't take into account, for example, a signpost, the opponent's got two connected pass pawns, it means if you do calculations where you're just a piece up, you still might lose because the two connected pass pawns might crash through. So in other words, if you don't appreciate the signposts, you're not going to be exploring further, right? So if we have these signposts like pin and win, or maybe combine and win, we're saying that, okay, it's worth exploring further because, maybe there's good piece cooperation here, combining pieces. It's worth checking further what they provide. So, yeah, I've had this thought, and I wanted to express it actually in a YouTube video, but I never got time. So I thought I'd express it here. I thought I'd mention it here. I found quite a few of the puzzles actually easier with that kind of signpost. Maybe that is because when calculating, it is a useful signpost. Combine and win, as well as pin and win. I mean, definitely a lot of puzzles when you're trying to checkmate the opponent. Sometimes I've noticed in puzzles, a pin plays an important role to immobilize a defensive piece, and so that's a useful signpost. So I had that idea, combine and win. So, okay, let's go back to this game now. So f4. All right, this looks as though, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done here. Can I play e takes? Is that bishop still hemmed in? E takes and then knight e4. I don't know if I'm giving my opponent a lot of counterplay, actually, when I don't really need to. If I played rook g8 instead, because I want to keep that bishop kind of locked in on c1. Okay, the knight surely can go back to e5 here. The knight's holding c6. c4 looks like something to exploit. If I played bishop c8 to a6, it looks like exploitable. But also there's immediately just a queen nudge for bishop a4. An outside pass pawn could be interesting. just queen e8 for bishop a4, unless he's sacrificing in exchange. But I can't see an immediate like hack attack against my king. If I could take that pawn and play a4, I think white's pieces start getting tied down to the outside passed pawn. If that's a kind of signpost, the passed pawn. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. No, it's not that easy, is it? It's never that easy. Okay. I don't really want to take there. I might have to come up with something different if knight a7, rook b8, knight b5, maybe rook b7. It's a comfortable position, but it needs to be won, I think, this position. It's a Nimzovich-in feel to it. There isn't too much counterplay going on. I think Nimzovich would be pleased because I think he was talking about the security of the position in the wider sense that you shouldn't be worrying about the opponent's counterplay. If you follow restraints and blockade strategies, I think you should be less worried in general about the opponent's evil, slippery intentions. I mean, he calls them slippery, like resourceful. So I think his strategies were aimed at maximising the prophylaxis against any future worries you might have. The queen side is definitely here. It's a lot more solid than, for example, in a King's Indian pawn storm on both sides of the board. I think it's more solid than that, for sure. I think if you look at Nimzo-Indian games, though, Nimzovich games, he does start to attack on the king side after. It seems as though the queen side, for white, is also stable enough. Okay, bishop h4 is going to be happening. Okay, so that's going to be a nasty pin. Bishop h4. I could stop that for a moment, but maybe I do want to play g5 and kind of combine rooks on g2. Even if he gets a pin, it gets a bit wild with him having a pin on h4 if I played g5. I wonder if it's all worth it or not. Okay, I might be regretting this, but I'm going to say that this is a signpost if I can double rooks, combine rooks. But I'm giving him a pin, which is also a signpost, so it's signpost versus signpost there. And can I actually unpin? Okay, I'm dropping c7 as well. But there's rook g2 at the moment anyway. Maybe I can go back to c8. He's got bishop h4 coming up. So yeah, there is bishop h4 coming up. Maybe I should just take on b5 just to sort out that issue. Maybe knight d3 is interesting. Because if he takes, okay, that e4 square, there's knight e4 on bishop h4 for bishop e7, knight f2 is checkmate. Knight e4 looks juicy. I'm threatening knight f2 checkmate. Oh, okay, so f5, rook g1. Okay, there's knight. Okay, queen h4 for knight f2. There's also f5. The knight looks super good. It just does look super good. Maybe just the idea of f5 for knight g3 is sufficient. Try and break down my opponent's defenses here. So I believe that signpost, I did potentially use that signpost of doubling the rooks as an example. But I mean, even in this example, you can't really say that categorically because you have to calculate the bishop pin. So, you know, there's imbalances either side. Only concrete calculation can show if g5 is worth it. But for me, I did initially think, well, maybe the doubling the rooks was dangerous. So, okay. Complicated example, if that is an example of anything. So, okay, Ryan, hi there. So knight f3, I'll play knight c3 because I think there is a bit of a trap going on here with, which is not such, oh, I kind of like the Halloween gambit for a laugh actually recently. I think this is a fun gambit, not just to be used in Halloween. It is interesting. I don't think a lot of players necessarily prepare for the Halloween gambit. For pin and win, I do remember actually a key Lloyd's Bank Masters game where I actually didn't play at the venue. It was against Francis Rayner. It was actually played at Wood Green Chess Club because I think some of the arrangements, we were actually given permission to play it at Chess Club. And he was a lot stronger than me on rating. But I do remember it was a Sveshnikov with a few pins. And I always thought, hang on, I think this pin lark is very useful. Pin and win, and I did notice in a lot of games when I did get pins, I was winning. So that's why it does remain for me. I mean, way back, quite an interesting expression for me. Pin and win. It does seem to be of practical value during a game to think about, and maybe. Okay, so e6 or bishop b5 or rook c1. Interesting. Maybe there's a lot of pressure on the queen side here. After bishop b5, because e6 looks as though bishop b5 is dangerous. So e6 and bishop b5. E6 and bishop b5. Okay, so d5 is not dropping off immediately. It does look a bit precarious, this situation. Okay, d6, maybe there's bishop c4. That's a kind of battery combining. A combining battery anyway, bishop c4. Oh, have I just dropped a key pawn though? Yes, I don't really want to drop a key pawn. So maybe he's got a point here. Yeah, so I might be just a piece down here. This is unfortunate, isn't it? Am I just being undermined brutally? I think I might be. Can I create two connected pass pawns anyway? And try and play for c5? Alright, there's an f file here. Alright, so bishop f4 is, I suppose this is very dangerous for me. Maybe I'm simply a piece down. This is a shame. A battery here. Alright, so knight d4 is going to be a real pain. Just preempting knight d4. Okay, so king h2 is going to have rook f4 soon. Ah, that's maybe king h1 is better. Try and get my king into safety. But he does seem to be fundamentally just a piece up here. Yes, he's still a piece up, fundamentally a piece up. That's a shame. Okay, rook b2. Oh, he's let me back in the game. I'm very grateful for that pawn. I think he didn't mean to slip up that pawn. He's let me back in the game, hasn't he? Rook e7. I'm a lucky bunny if he's let me back in the game with this. It looks as though he might have let me back in the game. Or not. Maybe not. That looks like a strong move. Oh, that does. He's still a piece up. Do I take on h7? Oh, this is interesting. Now, if rook takes, well, king takes, if knight takes, king f3. But I think the point is c5 might be interesting. For rook c7, rook c6, there's potential for two connected passed pawns here. Okay, so king f3, tempo gainer. Right, protect that pawn. Now if rook d5, rook c7, taking c6 out, is two connected passed pawns. Alright, so now maybe I try and throw some other passed pawns into the mix. Okay. So c6 here or a6. Okay, I think a6 is dangerous because taking a7. I mean a7 is going to be dangerous. Okay, so king e2. I'll still have a7, I hope. I'll try and create a pass pawn over here as well. So there's 3 sets of potential pass pawns, unless I'm going a bit crazy here. Rook b7, there's knight c6. Okay, so maybe I've got a point. I should try and get some pass pawn potential over here with g4. If knight g4, rook b7, then there's no knight c6, there's rook b8 coming. So g4, h5 should overload my opponent's position if I have a pass pawn over here. It's like, isn't it like juggling balls? Okay. Well, this looks a lot more promising. A lucky escape. I think he was just a piece up, just without too much controversy. Mind you, I did play the Halloween gambit, but even so, I think I expected a bit more from the gambit than what happened. Okay. Alright, I want to try and avoid stalemate trick. So queening. So the king has got h5. Yeah, I think, let's look at that. Yeah, that seemed as though the fun had been taken out after queen a5. So c6, very naughty. I really underestimated this whole position. I thought I was going to have fun here with e6 and bishop e5. So that's really quite an amazing thing to do, to leave me with this miserable position. Yeah, well played. Bogdan. Alright, so e4. So I'll play this Tarrasch defense. Right. And play it with ED here. This looks fairly standard position. Castle, because I think queen b4 check. I think Adams has played on the white side. He's a Tarrasch specialist as far as Super Grandmasters. So is concerned, it's probably well worth looking at games of Michael Adams on the white side of a French defense Tarrasch. Okay, so how would he play it? Queen f3. I think h3 as well. I think you'd have a rook on e1 generally. There's some interesting ideas. Okay, he's giving me that light square bishop. That's interesting. Alright, I'm threatening bishop b5. We should castle. So I think I want to play bishop b3 at some point. Or maybe, actually, a4. It looks as though my pawn majority is interesting over here. In fact, a5 for bishop b6 looks interesting now. Am I overcommitting these pawns? Bishop b6. He just played bishop c5 maybe. Maybe there's no real point to that. What about b4 then? Okay, no. It needs to be prepared because he's got rook c8. I think if I have an idea of b4 and bishop b6 is okay. b4. Am I just weakening the position? Maybe in fact there's b5. Maybe the point here is that I could be making, potentially a decent point I could be making, is b5, not bishop b6. I mean, this is running into rook d2s potentially. Maybe, or is it? Okay, he's pinning there. There's potential for rook d2. Alright, if I drop back this, he's not going to play rook. Would he play rook d2? Maybe just queen e1. Can I play bishop c2 here? If knight c3, I think queen h5. I think I want to drop back to b1. Is he really playing knight c3 actually? He might be playing knight c3. I've just made a strange gambit here. Okay. My king's a bit weak. Mind you, okay, queen f3. I'm on f7. He has to defend f7. b7 is also under fire. He has got potentially bishop d6. Once he sorts out f7, there's bishop d6. Okay, is bishop e4 good here? I hope it's good rather, because I'm holding g2 anyway. If he starts doubling rooks, okay, he's doing that. Does he start doubling rooks with rook b2? I'll try and parry that with rook f2 before the pressure really mounts up. And maybe I take on a6. I've got some passed pawns here to play with, and bishop f1. Yeah, there's some passed pawn potential. Okay, if I'm holding the position there, I'll just take this off just in case. Yeah. Alright, there is bishop d4, but I'm queening. Yeah, I'm queening, so yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Thanks for the game. It was interesting. Prom night. Okay, so prom night. I think sometimes if you have a hero in a particular opening variation, for me, yeah, Michael Adams is a hero in the knight d2 French defense. And he's been one of those super grandmasters that has been consistently rated above 2700 for a number of years. So I think he's got a solid foundation in positional chess to do that. It's not as if he was dependent on like tactical ability, which might have been fading. I think he's demonstrated great positional skills throughout the entire career, so far. Okay, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4. We got another French defense game and another Tarrasch. It's the day of the Tarrasch. Okay, there's a trap line here to be excited about. Which he's not going to go into with h6 clearly. So I think queen e2 immediately does set up a trap. Actually, b6 queen e4 hits h7 and a8. But the thing is, you know, oh, this is interesting. I think d takes might be interesting here. Or bishop e3. Maybe bishop e3. I think I have chance for cd, bishop d4, e5, bishop e4, or not. Maybe I don't. Yeah, swings and roundabouts, but maybe d takes was best. It would still give me that 3-2 pawn majority d takes. I had some tactical idea here, I'm not sure now. I can still, if I wanted a 3-2 pawn majority, I think he has e5 coming up, bishop d4, e5, with my king in the center. So what if I played knight takes d4 here for a moment? Because I think e5, then I can react with knight b5 instead. So e5, knight b5. Okay, if I castle here, okay, and just try and play calm for a moment with rook e1. Queen e5 looks at my h2. g3 and knight b5. Is g3, it's like volunteering light square weaknesses, g3. Do I really need to play g3 unless I'm prompted? Okay, knight b5 here seems interesting. e4 tactically is interesting. Well, I'm always, if I'm hitting the bishop anyway, it doesn't matter for the moment. Maybe I encourage a lot of work. If he wants e4, he has to play for f5. So knight a3 on a6. I'm coming back with a vengeance via c4. If he's weakening the diagonal, there's going to be tactics probably. Knight c4 here gives me knight b6 as an idea, already immediate. Alright, so knight b6 is interesting. Can I actually gain his dark square bishop? That would seem a positional concession if he gives me his dark square bishop. Okay, can I play b4 then? a4, a5 to try and get a grip over here. Oh, there's also knight d5. Knight d5 was winning on the spot. Queen d6, bishops. Well, it is now because I've got bishop c5. Yeah, knight d5, queen d6, there's bishop c5. I've facilitated that, but knight d5 even here. Oh, my bishop on e4 is hanging. But even so, knight d5, queen d6, bishop c5 gives knight e7, then knight takes f5. If rook d5, bishop d5, if queen e6, knight takes c7 hits the queen. So queen d6, bishop c5. If queen h4, bishop takes f5. I don't think there's anything else to say. Knight d5. So b4 was actually, it wasn't really my attention for this tactic. It was more grip on the dark squares with a4, a5. So there isn't knight e7 check here. Hold on a sec. I can just win the exchange. Knight e7 just takes. Why don't I just take the exchange then? I could just, I think, take the exchange. What do I take here? Does he really want to leave a knight on d5 here? It looks very unpleasant to leave a knight on d5. Rook takes rook d1. It seems very unpleasant to leave a knight on d5. So, okay, it does. There's queen h7 potentially. Did I miss queen h7? Okay, look at that c5 square. Still from here. Well, safeguard the diagonal. Also, it means knight f4 is interesting. a4 is also interesting for knight c7. A check, and then b5 would be winning material with that pinned knight. So a4 would support b5 potentially. Oh, there's knight f3 here. I see. Well, I can get everything off with knight takes c7 because of queen c5. Queen takes c5. Rook takes d8. It is the exchange up situation. Queen c5, bishop d6. Oh, okay, so I can just get material off here. I don't think he's going to do a queen sack. But I think even easier might be rook takes for queen c5 because he has to play queen e7. The difference is there's no structural damage. When I take on e7, I'm just the exchange up without structural damage. If I play it like this, takes check, king e7, I'm incurring structural damage, and the knight might be a problem. So I'm more tempted to take it like this for queen c5 because my structure is intact. I'm the exchange up, structurally intact. Okay, is knight f3 is dangerous, or is it? Is c4, a3, c4. Or am I giving them a whale of a time? I think I have just given them a whale of a time. Oh, crikey. At least I can get an F file, but it's not that pleasant with 31 seconds. Yes, I've got to mop up some pawns. There's a lot of work to do here. He's got e3 coming. Yes, I've given him play. Here, to try and avoid. Can I try and get that pawn before it's too late? It's too late, isn't it? I think I messed up. Messed up, totally. Oh, okay, save some rating points, but that was just... Oh, What is it about these knights? Okay. Oh, crikey. Okay. A bit too much excitement. Too much excitement. I'm laughing for stress relief. This is a stress relief mechanism. While I'm laughing, it's a very important stress relief for me. Oh dear. That was an aggressive king. Well done. You got an aggressive king, an aggressive knight, an aggressive pawn. You mind over matter at work. The exchange up. I thought I had a bit of a sense of danger. My rook never got any chance to even munch one pawn. It had to be on guard duty for the pawn. I never got a moment to snap up. Just one or two pawns would have done it, maybe. I'm playing Queen H5 here. Alright, so Queen takes E7. Maybe King E2 and or not. Bishop dropping back. King E2 and Bishop D4. I'll try and play over here, maybe G4, G5. Or yeah, Rook D1. I have a problem with King E2 that if he moves like my king's going to be around to be attacked. So could I do something else? Maybe H5, G5 or something? Castle here. C5, bishop takes G7. Bishop F3. Okay, he's in a self pin. It's not usually good to be in a self pin. So Rook E7. Alright, this looks like good news. Okay, I'll take that guy. Alright, thanks, Winkman. Okay. Dangerous Ryan. One. Okay. This is my Mexican defense. I've been researching the Mexican defense recently, more concretely than abstract considerations. Yes, I shouldn't say this, should I? But knight c3 is delightful. It's the move I'm not worried about, knight c3 or d5. This is justifying the Mexican defense because there's dark square weaknesses popping up here, which can be tapped into. This provocation strategy is very, very interesting. I think I mentioned last week the Mexican defense. So it's named from Torre, Carlos Torre, who started off in New Orleans, and he dedicated the Adams Torre back row mate composition game to his tutor Ez Adams. So Torre is known for the Torre attack, but also the Mexican defense, or this Queen's Knight Tango. So the Queen's Knight Tango, I thought, has a great family relationship to e4 knight c6, d4 e5, d5 knight e7, in that they're both dark square strategies and provocation. And if you want to learn about dark square strategy provocation, you could, and you get good at it, then I think you do get good at a certain skill set, a very specific skill set, like exchanging off strategically the dark square bishops, trying to encourage more pawns on light squares. There's a specific skill set to make that even more effective, this whole provocation idea. You can see that there are pawns on light squares, adjacent dark square weaknesses. The bishops are generally they're both pretty good. It's not like a French defense. Both bishops are usually pretty good. Here, I mean, h4 could be a target. Okay, so d6, let's see, d6, a6, in fact, I'm wondering, if I just missed a shot. I mean, I already missed a shot with knight g4. I think I missed a shot with knight g4 already. Oh well. Shame. Here, I don't like the parting with the dark square bishop. I've kind of, I think I misplayed it slightly. I should have given a square for it or something. I didn't need to play d6. Sometimes you do need to play d6 because white's going to play d6, but I think I had time to keep the bishop. Oh well, there's different things about this position anyway. It's interesting in its own right that there's a pawn on h4 here. Maybe knight f4 is interesting. Okay, this gives me the e5 square to slip into. This can't be that bad. So queen d2, knight e5 if he takes knight d3. That e5 square seems interesting. If you ever took like that, f takes, okay. Alright, so g6 here. Or is f4 going to drop soon? I wonder. Maybe c5 just to see what this knight's doing. I don't like the knight there because I think there is going to be a time he's going to win f4 non-controversially. I think that knight's too good there. One thing he did give me with this loss of the bishop is this a file. That could be tactically useful at some point, this a file. I like the knight on e5 in principle, but I think he's hunting down my f4 pawn here because I can't really play g5 any point soon. So f4 looks to be on the way out. Oh well. King e7 for bishop d7 though. What about that? If I can try and quickly get rid of that knight. So he wins f4, but maybe I've got pressure. It's one pawn away from his centre. His centre's a bit looser. After he wins f4. So queen d2 coming up. Say, okay, bishop. If I just eliminate that knight, this knight's going to be better than that bishop. So maybe that's a good kind of thing to be happening. F3 gives c4 for knight d3. That's interesting. So his king would be in the center. I'm not saying that's enough compensation or anything, but maybe it's interesting. In conjunction with queen c2, queen c5. I mean, queen c7, queen c5. Well, that hits b5 and f2. All right, let him protect f2 now. Okay. Is g5 possible? I'm just tearing my own king safety to shreds. If I did that, I think I got to play calm. Knight e5. There might be another way of playing this position. If he plays f4, knight g4. Oh, he's going for that. Right, knight f7 for a moment. Yes, he's put my knight away. Let's put my king away. I have to put my king away here. Mind you, h5 was there for the taking. This is starting to look pretty scary. I can't play king f8 now. Is he going to just sack the exchange? Am I getting obliterated? I hope not, but king d8 might be a safer bet than anything. Okay, do I get a time for knight takes and king d8? I assume I do. Dark squares away from the bishop, trying to hold d6. Is this terrible, the exchange up? I hope not. But he has got those two connected passed pawns. Right, rook g8, trying to combine on g3. Rook c2 for rook h2. There's rook h4 here. Alright, so there's queen h2 for rook c1. Right, so I think I think I have to worry about my back row now. Trying this check. Let's check. I think. Hold this. I think. Yes, it was dangerous. Well done. That was giving me a scare. Shelling. Alright, I hope knight h4 is... Bishop e6 and knight h4 is good enough. Or knight e7 just to avoid the doubling of pawns. There's knight e3. If I have c6, it's a bit more solid in general. Rather than an easy plan for white. If he doubles pawns, he's got a blockade on c5. Okay, I think taking here is interesting because there's always bishop h6 and knight e3. Okay, so knight e3. Or check. I think knight e3 is possible. Okay, I think I don't want to give him a massive position. Not so much. Just keep the dark square bishop. I'm happy with the dark square bishop. So stop bishop c4 for a moment. Okay, so can I hit with c5 here? White center. What's he got? He has got that. We're just giving him a pawn for nothing, basically. Or even worse, d5, great. Let's get it off the road here. You shouldn't have two pawns like this. Rook f8. Well, he's forcing me, but okay. Queen b5, try and be annoying. There's some dark square weaknesses around. The pawns look somewhat convincing. How would I be annoying here? Queen b5? So c4. Am I just giving him knight d4 now? Oh no, it's queen d5 on knight d4. Okay. You can double both ways with rook e7 or rook d8, depending on what's better. Alright, he's going for one single pass pawn. I can play that. Maybe that's best for the f-file, because my queen's holding e8 here. So if I have doubled rooks on the f-file, that is a combine signpost. If I can double rooks on the f-file, it's a signpost. As like a pin would be. I think doubling on the f-file is like combine and win. d6, rook e6, ef, rook f7. If queen e8, queen takes. So am I forcing him to do something here because, you know, f takes? Apparently not. I don't suppose c3 does anything. So he's going to have d6 coming up. F takes d6. I suppose bishop takes b2 is out of the question. If rook b1 c3, it's ridiculous. If rook c4, bishop a3. This is madness, this idea. But can I blockade like that? Is it just easily refuted? Take out the b2 pawn is mostly pointless, but f takes d6 doesn't seem like something I want to do. If I have a bishop on d6 and I play f takes, it's a whole different ballpark. Okay, crazy, but maybe I'm losing a piece immediately, I don't know. I'm thinking bishop a3 to d6, that's the point strategically. Which means that f takes is more effective. He hasn't got d6 after. So if we can play bishop d6 and f takes, that would be a success in some way. Okay, he's forcing through d6. Oh, it's all winning the exchange. I think I do have rook takes f7, but he's got knight takes f7. He's got knight takes f7. I can't get the better of this. King here. That's ridiculous. The point is d6, rook e6. Okay, so bishop d6 here. He's got queen d4. Check. He's mating me soon. Oh, I'm being mated. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. No, it's hopeless anyway. I think he's got just queen d4. He's mating me. Knight h6, mate. Yeah. Oh, that was brutal. Okay. I thought bishop b2 was just weird. In principle. Well played. Okay. That was, I think I went off the road there with when he had the two pawns in the center. That's really dangerous. So okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Might have to have bought this. Go on to the next game. Blunder Panda. Okay. I'll take that. So here I'm going to play for d5 probably. We had this kind of thing before. I'm just in time with this, am I? Is f6, bishop f6, or am I in trouble? That's queen d4 and knight f5 to win the rook, isn't there? Because the rook's kind of stranded. And this has got rook c6. Okay, so queen d4 or bishop f5. Maybe bishop f5, the rook's kind of stranded. There's no rook c6. Or knight f5, there might be rook c6. Alright, there's bishop g5 h6. Queen, bishop h4. Hang on. Okay, here. What about queen e4 just for knight d5? Or h6 anyway. If bishop h4, queen e4 hits the bishop. Am I going completely mad tactically here? I'm going to damage my king or what? Or is this justified? Bishop h4, queen e4 hits the bishop, and there's still a stranded rook on f6. But knight d5, there's rook c6. But on that, there's knight e3 hitting the queen, hitting the rook. Okay, maybe queen f3, knight c2, winning that rook. Okay, so how does this work at home? So knight d5, rook c6, knight e3, queen f3, gf, knight takes c2. All right. If I just take on c3, that keeps that rook stranded. I think that's probably the way to do this. He's got rook e1 coming up. Because king g7, there's rook e1. And so can I just do this for a moment? Try and put some pressure on the e file. Rook e1, queen d5, keeping the rook. Just waiting for king g7 then. I'm just trying to wait for king g7 at the right moment. King g7 looks like a threat. Here it looks like a threat because bishop e5, there's rook e5. Maybe it's... Oh, there's rook d6. Oh, I see. There's rook d6. Okay. What about, for a moment... Oh, okay, let's not run out of time. Queen d2. Changing tact for the back row. Attack on e1. Okay, get a pin. Pin and win. There's a signpost. Pin and win. It's a sign. Pin is a sign. It's a good sign. A trap piece is a good sign. But pin is a good sign. Yeah. Alright, so that was pin and win. Okay. Thanks, Blonde Panda. Anoop. So a 3-minute game. So let's see. So this Smyslov defense, I think, is quite solid and interesting. So, if I try and maintain solidity, alright, I thought he'd try and win a pawn there. With I didn't want double pawns, a sort of temporary pawn sack experiment. Can I take this guy? So c6 and bishop g7 would make my king cozier again. Or would it? There's a slightly loose knight issue. What about just protecting that for a moment? Okay, so bishop g7 after. Okay. It looks to be cozy again. Can I get the queens off here? Oh, not really. Okay. b5. Maybe for b4, try and decentralize the knight. Something to do. Decentralize the knight. So b4. If I take these pawns in the center, look good. Queen d5, rook a d8. Wait, c4, c3. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think there's rook h8 here. This isn't such a major attack. If rook h5, queen h5, try and get my pawns down the board. So rook a8, c3. Okay. So I want to play c3. It's two connected, pass pawns time. Thanks, Anoop. Yeah, that was interesting. Bogdan, I think this might be the last game of the session. Hi there. Okay, I got another method against the French. Maybe. Which is this c4 line I'm fascinated by. It's unusual, slightly unusual. Is it that good though? I saw it in a master game once. I'm giving up the light square bishop for nothing. It seems here. I think I misplayed it already. But in this 3-minute time control, maybe it's not that big a deal what happens here in the opening that much. b3, bishop b2. Is that too slow? He's going to disintegrate my centre. Rook c1 and b4. Looks like something to do. He's stronger on the light squares. There's a nice blockade on d5. Maybe going for knight e3 is an idea. Knight d4, not knight d4, because a queen g2 mate. So queen d4 there. Do I get a chance for knight e3 here, or has he got queen e4? And he's got queen e4. I wonder if I play bishop g5 here. If he plays knight d4, there's bishop e7. If he plays bishop g5, there's knight g5. Okay, bishop g5. The knight's holding g2. That's an important point about this knight. Do I get some sort of attack or not really? Is my centre just crumbling? Alright, knight d4, knight d4. My knight's holding g2. Key point. Right. Well, yeah. Queen b3, clever trick. Queen b3, cd, queen b7. I'm hitting c8. Knight c6 for knight e7. He's got bishop c6 there. That's an interesting possibility. Well, I think queen c2 there, and it's a reasonable position anyway. Bishop c6 is probably best. Queen c2. I've got some attack on the c5 pawn situation to, okay. Bit ahead on the clock, but he's a pawn up. So, yes, he's a pawn up. Rook d3 is going to be... Try and play for f3 before it's too late. My king gets massacred. There's a rook d3, rook e3 or something. Let's slap this off. I was wondering about h3 just then. Alright, knight f6. Yeah, so yeah, multi-tactics going on there. All right, thanks for the games today. Well done to Schelling, crushing me again. You had two pass pawns in the centre. I think it was a winning position. Yeah, and I was lucky in another game. We'll play it all. Yeah, thanks very much. And see you next week. Okay.